let me just say a couple of big things. This country, and particularly, I'll be speaking about the party because, as a member of the party, I think I'm pretty well qualified to speak on it, is in a pretty bad place. And, my long game is optimism. I think that America always comes out on top. We've never, through history, even through really difficult times, we've never basically failed the next generation. We've always found our way through. It's that old saying that, Americans can be counted on to do the right thing when they've exhausted all other options. But what that means is we have to be clear-eyed about where we are. And let me tell you where we are as a party really quickly. Look, as a Republican Party, I was a weird kid that actually started paying attention to politics at like 6 years old. I was more into the yard science than I was policy. But anyway, I became, a Republican. My parents were. I kind of fell in love, I guess, with Republican politics, what it stood for. I appreciated and recognized the optimism of Ronald Reagan, and I consider one of the better even political leaders that you will ever hear from this century came out of the Republican Party, a number of them, if you think about it. So I looked at all that and, policies I believe in. And I'll tell you, since I got elected in 2010, what I've started to see was a party that stuck to its policies, but began to be infected by, in essence, really kind of grievance-driven politics. So it'll mask itself as conservatism. The truth is, I'm way more conservative than probably some of my folks out there that think I'm a rhino, which means Republican in name only, which is ironic since I was a Republican before Donald Trump was at 43 years old only. But it's interesting because what I think has happened in the Republican Party is policy has been replaced by personal grievance and by culture war. And culture war is really motivating, right? When you get angry about the wokeism, you get angry about cancel culture, you get angry about, what they're teaching in schools and all this kind of stuff. It really can overtake you that all you want to do is just destroy the other side of the aisle. And that's what the problem is leaders for the last 10 years have learned that fear and conspiracy drives profits and it drives votes. Fear is the most compelling human emotion. And so if you stand up and you make people fear, if you say that Nancy Pelosi is going to destroy this country, or the left is going to, destroy your children, or this happens even on the left about the right, it is a very compelling emotion. The problem is it destroys democracies. And I think that's what we saw on January 6th. So I'm a pilot, a stall is what happens when you run out of flying airspeed and you fall out of the sky. But on every aircraft, just before you stall, it buffets. It's like a natural airframe shake to let you know, unintentionally, frankly, that you're about to fall out of the sky. And that's what January 6th was. It was a buffet. And I was very disappointed when my party's leaders, Kevin McCarthy and Steve Scalise in particular, decided that winning the next election and winning the majority was more important than a clear-eyed recognition of what happened on January 6th. What happened on January 6th was that a lie led to violence. Look, if you look at the people that attacked the Capitol, if you truly believe that the election was stolen, so just for a moment, suspend everything you believe and just think, okay, I truly believe the election was stolen. And you believe that it is Satanist pedophiles that run the government, which is what QAnon says. January 6th is not that crazy then, being as how that's what you really believe. And we've had leaders in our party, Donald Trump, members of Congress that have convinced their base, because it's more easier to do that than to tell them the truth, which is that 74 million people were not disenfranchised. They were outnumbered. It's easier to placate them. And we have convinced many, many Americans wrongfully. We've abused them and convinced them the election was stolen. So January 6th shouldn't be a surprise. I tweeted this morning, and I've said it before, but it's getting a little more attention now. I was on a phone call with Kevin McCarthy and the Republican conference a couple days prior to January 6th. And I had said on a few media outlets that I was very concerned about violence on the 6th because I looked at Twitter. I saw the threats against me. And I said, Kevin, with all this basically BS we're saying about we can make sure the election isn't certified, it was stolen, et cetera. I go, I really, really am concerned about violence on January 6th. The response I got was basically that cricket sound and then, okay, Adam, operator, next caller. That's fine. I did as best I could. So that's, look, this party is in a bad place. We've got a lot of work to do. I am committed to one thing, to telling people the truth. That's why I started this Country First movement, which is just about saying truth over conspiracy. That's why I think when, people talk about unity in the Republican Party, we can't wash over what happened on January 6th in the election, because truth and lies cannot coexist. They simply can't coexist. So it's a fight for the soul of the Republican Party. And to some of my friends and colleagues, I'm sorry it's in the public, but it's the public that make the votes. It's the public that determines who is going to lead the Republican Party.